Imagine walking into a room, maybe it's full of strangers, maybe familiar faces, and just instantly feeling in command, effortlessly connecting with everyone. Picture your words landing just right, you know, your voice carrying both warmth and this undeniable authority, and you just radiate authenticity. What if the secret to all that wasn't some kind of natural talent? What if it was just a set of simple, really powerful techniques? Techniques most people spend years trying to master, and frankly, often never quite get there. Well, today we're going to give you those techniques. Welcome to the deep dive. We've taken a deep dive into an incredibly insightful audiobook all about communication, and our mission for you is to distill the most impactful strategies, the genuine secrets, if you will, to dramatically improve how you connect with the world around you. We're talking about unlocking a real, undeniable edge in pretty much every interaction. Boardroom, coffee shop, you name it.
That's the really amazing part, isn't it? What's truly fascinating here isn't just what these insights are, but, well, how quickly and how effectively you can actually apply them
Mm.
to really shift your impact profoundly. This deep dive, it isn't about just collecting abstract ideas. It's about equipping you right now with practical, truly transformative skills. You're about to uncover how your words, your presence, and maybe most surprisingly, how you listen can create this resonance that just, it commands attention and trust.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When we think communication, our minds usually jump straight to speaking. We all want to be articulate, persuasive, maybe even witty. But the source material we looked at, it kind of throws a curveball right at the start. It reveals that the real mastery, the actual power, it begins much deeper than just the words you say. It's about building this solid foundation first, often unseen. So what's the very first pillar it talks about?
That's a brilliant observation, actually, because most people do focus intensely on what they're going to say next. But maybe the most profound insight here is that the foundation really starts with self-awareness and understanding others. Simple as that, but huge. Before you even try to impress someone or persuade them or even just have a polite chat, you need to understand yourself. What are your inherent communication strengths? Where might your unconscious habits be tripping you up? What's your natural style? And this raises a really important question for you listening right now. Do you speak with genuine clarity, or do you tend to maybe ramble a bit? Do you listen with sincere curiosity, or are you mostly just waiting for your turn to talk?
Mm-hmm.
Are you truly aware of the subtle signals your tone, your gestures, your body language are constantly sending out? These aren't just rhetorical questions. They're the absolute bedrock of genuine connection. If you're not aware of how you come across, you can't really understand how others perceive you. And you definitely can adjust your approach effectively to connect more deeply. It's like seeing yourself through their eyes.
Right. And it's surprising, maybe, but the very first practical step the source emphasizes isn't about speaking at all, which really goes against what most of us intuitively believe about communication. It feels almost backwards.
It absolutely does feel backwards, and that's the beauty of it, in a way. Our source highlights that listening is far more important than speaking. So many people assume communication is all about expressing yourself, getting your point across. But active listening, well, that's a profound skill. It allows you to absorb not just the surface information, but also those deeper layers, the emotion, the intention behind the words. Think about that for a second. It's not just what they say, but how they feel about it and why they're saying it.
You're gathering context.
Exactly. Not
Yeah.
just data, context, and emotion. The source even gives a practical exercise for this. Next time you have a conversation, try to focus completely, 100% on the speaker. Consciously resist that urge, and it's a strong urge, right? To interrupt or to start planning your reply while they're still talking.
Hmm. Happens all the time.
Then, and this is crucial, try to summarize what they just said in your own words before you even think about responding.
That's small practice. Wow, that sounds incredibly powerful.
Right.
It forces you to actually process their entire message before you jump in, which, thinking about it, must build immense trust. almost automatically.
Yeah.
You're not just reloading your own argument. You're truly engaging, making your response actually meaningful, not just reactive.
Hmm.
I can see how that would change the whole vibe of a conversation.
Exactly. And trust. Well, trust is the ultimate currency in great communication. When someone feels genuinely heard, this unique bond forms. It's quite remarkable.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Beyond just listening, the audiobook emphasizes intention, knowing why you speak.
Huh.
It says every single word carries energy, like a subtle charge. And if your intention behind those words is unclear, or maybe mixed, your message just gets weak, muddled, easily misinterpreted, like firing an arrow without aiming, as you said.
That's a great analogy. Your intention shapes absolutely everything about your communication. Your word choice, your tone of voice, your gestures. It's your internal compass. For example, if you're giving feedback to someone at work, your intention might be, hopefully, to help them grow, right? To develop, not to criticize or make them feel small. If that intention is crystal clear in your own mind, it will naturally guide how you deliver that feedback. It makes you more constructive, less confrontational, almost without trying. But conversely, if your intention is a bit muddled, like maybe you do want to help, but you also kind of want to subtly assert your authority.
Oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right. That leads to mixed signals, confusion, and ultimately it weakens your credibility. The listener might sense something's off, even if they can't put their finger on it. Knowing your why gives your what incredible power.
Now, we hear statistics all the time, and often they just wash over us. But our source material offers one that really made me stop and think. Did you know that over 55% of communication is nonverbal? More than half, without a single word spoken. It's just astonishing how much we transmit without even realizing it. But what does that really mean for us? How do we use that?
That's the critical insight, isn't it? It's not just some random number. It's like this silent battle for credibility happening all the time. Your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions, they create this pre-verbal message that our brains process in milliseconds before you even open your mouth. This nonverbal communication is a silent powerhouse. It includes your posture, gestures, facial expressions, even how you use silence. If your words say, I'm confident, but, your shoulders are slumped and your hands are shoved in your pockets, well, your body's basically calling your words a lie, even if you don't mean it to.
Right. It creates this disconnect.
Exactly, a disconnect. The truly eye-opening part is learning how to make sure your silent message amplifies your spoken one instead of contradicting it. A confident stance, maybe open, welcoming gestures, steady eye contact, these can make your words feel inherently more powerful, more trustworthy. Establishes authority and approachability before you even start speaking. The source suggests a really simple but profound mini exercise for this. Stand in front of a mirror, say out loud, I am confident and clear. As you say it, really observe your posture, your hands, your face. Then consciously adjust until your body naturally reflects that confidence. You'll literally feel a shift almost immediately. It's what some psychologists call embodied cognition. Your body language actually influences how you feel inside.
It makes perfect sense. The physical influences the mental. And it's not just what you say or how you stand, but also the sheer power of your voice, specifically the impact of your tone. I'm always amazed at how much emotion and meaning can ride on just a tiny shift in tone.
Absolutely. Tone influences perception, sometimes even more than the literal words do. A monotonous voice, for instance. It can make the most brilliant ideas sound just dull, uninspiring, like you don't even care about what you're saying. It drains the energy right out. But a warm, varied, modulated tone that can make your words memorable, engaging, impactful. It's about paying attention to your pitch, high or low, your pace, fast or slow, and those strategic pauses. Remember, pauses aren't just filler. They emphasize key points, create a bit of suspense maybe, and crucially, give listeners time to absorb without feeling rushed.
Like the music of your speech.
Exactly. It's the musicality. Very well put.
Speaking of memorable, our source keeps coming back to the power of storytelling, calling it the secret connector. We seem hardwired for stories, don't we?
Yeah.
It's not just fluff, it's fundamental.
We truly are. Stories engage the brain in a completely different way than a list of facts or statistics ever could. People remember narratives, they remember emotions, they don't usually remember raw data points. So, if we connect this to the bigger picture, wrapping your ideas in a personal story or maybe a relatable real life example makes your message not just understandable, but incredibly sticky
Eh,
and profoundly persuasive. The source gives a fantastic example. Instead of just explaining some new complex work process with like a dry list of steps.
which nobody remembers 5 minutes later.
Precisely. Instead, recount a time you actually applied it successfully. Include the challenges you faced, the hurdles, and then the positive outcomes. That narrative makes it come alive. It offers a blueprint for success that resonates emotionally and really lodges itself in memory. Makes the abstract feel tangible.
Okay. And finally, to kind of pull this whole foundation together, the audiobook brings us back to ourselves with self-reflection, the internal foundation. This doesn't sound like a one-time check-in, more like an ongoing thing.
It's absolutely a continuous journey, a daily practice of introspection, ideally. True communication mastery starts internally, with honest, consistent self-awareness. You need to consciously observe your own reactions during conversations. Do you tend to get defensive when someone challenges you? Are you impatient, just waiting for your turn to speak, maybe formulating your killer comeback?
Uh-huh. Guilty sometimes.
We all are. Do you find yourself making assumptions about what other people mean? Recognizing these patterns in your own behavior is the critical first step toward adjustment, towards genuine growth. The source offers a really practical tip here. At the end of each day, just take a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Reflect on your key conversations that day. Ask yourself, did I truly listen? Did my words actually line up with my intention? How did people react to me, and why might that be? These self-reflections are like a powerful, consistent guide for continuous improvement. Lets you learn from every interaction and subtly tweak your approach.
All right, so these foundational elements, listening, intention, nonverbals, tone, storytelling, self-awareness, they create this really robust base, like building a strong house. Got to get the foundation right. But once that base is solid, how do we then make our actual words land with precision and power? Build on that foundation. How do we master the tools themselves?
Precisely. And that leads us directly into mastering the verbal and the nonverbal tools, turning that awareness and intention into tangible impact.
So what does this all mean for the actual words we choose and the way we, carry ourselves? Building on those foundations, let's talk about mastering verbal communication and that silent but equally powerful world of nonverbal cues. This is where we start turning awareness into real action.
Words truly have power, don't they? They can inspire, persuade, heal, or unfortunately, they can harm too. The difference between someone who communicates with real impact and someone who struggles, well, it often boils down to two things: awareness and consistent practice. It's not usually about being some kind of natural born orator. It's about intentionally honing your craft, understanding the subtle mechanics of language.
And the first verbal skill our source material really zeroes in on is choosing words with purpose. It's really clear here. Those seemingly harmless filler words, like, they might feel natural, almost conversational.
Yeah, they creep in easily.
But they actually dilute your message. They make you sound less confident, maybe less prepared, definitely less authoritative.
That's absolutely right. The source strongly advises replacing those filler words with, wait for it, strategic pauses.
Pauses again.
Pauses again. They're incredibly powerful. They don't just fill space, they let listeners process your words, which subtly signals that what you're saying is important, worth considering. They also give your message this undeniable air of authority. Thoughtfulness. Precision in your language also matters hugely. Instead of hedging like, I think this might work, try saying this will work because.
Big difference.
Huge difference. The first sounds uncertain, tentative, almost inviting doubt. The second conveys confidence, clarity, conviction. The source suggests a great mini exercise for this. Take a common sentence you use often, maybe one that's a bit casual or vague, and refine it. For example, transforming, I guess this is okay, into something like, this approach is effective because it directly addresses the key challenge.
Mm.
If you practice these specific swaps daily, your speech will just become significantly sharper, more direct, more impactful over time. It actually trains your brain to be more precise.
Okay, so we touched on storytelling before as foundational, almost like a mindset. But it's so vital, it gets another deep dive here, specifically for its role in making your actual words memorable, resonant, turning information into shared experience.
Absolutely. Humans are just fundamentally wired to remember stories, not isolated facts or abstract data. Stories evoke emotion, they create empathy, they make ideas stick in a way that pure information often just bounces off. When you want to communicate effectively, especially if you're trying to convey something complex or motivate action, wrap your ideas in compelling narratives. The source gives that great example again. Instead of just stating a fact like teamwork improves productivity,
Which everyone kind of knows, but it doesn't inspire much.
right, share a story instead. Like
Yeah.
last year, our project was falling behind schedule. Big stress. We decided to reorganize tasks based on everyone's individual strengths. Within just a week, productivity soared, energy was up, and we actually completed the project ahead of time. That's the tangible human power of teamwork.
It's so much more impactful because it lets the listener experience the lesson emotionally.
Mhm.
An excellent exercise here. Convert a professional idea or maybe a life lesson that's important to you into a super concise, like 30-second story. Then just observe how listener engagement shifts. They lean in, they connect emotionally, because you've moved beyond the abstract into something real.
Beyond the words themselves, our source highlights the critical importance of tone, pace, and emphasis. It's incredible how the exact same sentence can inspire, or bore, or even drip with sarcasm, depending entirely on how you deliver it. It's like the secret sauce for your message. It really is the secret sauce. Varying your tone, your speed, your emphasis, it's crucial for keeping listeners engaged and making sure your message lands correctly. With the intended nuance. Speaking really fast can show excitement, enthusiasm, sure, but it can also overwhelm listeners if you keep it up too long, leaves them feeling rushed, maybe even anxious. On the flip side, speaking very slowly can emphasize key points, give them weight, but it risks losing energy and attention if it just kind of drags on.
Finding that balance.
Finding the balance. And strategic emphasis on important words guides your audience's attention to what truly matters. Tells them, listen up, this part's key. And pauses, again, are just as important as the words. They give your message rhythm, natural breathing room, enhance clarity, let people absorb and reflect. A great practice tip from the source: read an article aloud every day. Actively experiment with your tone, try different pausing strategies, emphasize different words, and then record yourself.
Oh, recording yourself, that can be tough but useful.
It can be cringe-worthy at first, but playing it back lets you objectively hear where your speech could feel more engaging, more persuasive, or maybe just clearer. You'll be surprised at the nuances you pick up.
And in this world of just constant information overload, where everyone's fighting for attention, clarity over complexity seems absolutely paramount. Nobody has the patience to wade through jargon or super convoluted sentences.
Exactly right. Simple, clear language is almost always more persuasive, and it's significantly easier to remember. When you simplify, you're not dumbing things down, you're making your ideas more accessible, more universally understood, more powerful, really. When complex ideas are necessary, use metaphors and analogies. They're like powerful bridges, connecting abstract concepts to relatable terms by leveraging what people already know. The source offers a potent mini exercise for this. Take a concept you know extremely well, something you could talk about for hours. Now explain it in just 1 minute to someone completely unfamiliar with it.
Okay, that's a challenge.
It is. But if they understand it, you've succeeded. This practice truly sharpens your ability to articulate ideas with clarity and conciseness, cuts through the noise, ensures your message actually lands.
Now let's turn to the silent partner in communication. We touched on it before, but it's so vital. It really deserves a deeper look. Nonverbal communication, the silent power. Our source reminds us again over 55% nonverbal. It's truly half the battle, maybe more. And often, it's the half people trust more.
And this raises that important question again. If so much is unspoken, how do we consciously master it? It's like learning the secret language that everyone speaks intuitively, but very few people consciously understand or use effectively. Your gestures, your posture, your facial expressions, even your silence, they speak volumes before your words do. They establish credibility, convey emotion, set the stage, often before you've said a single word. It's that pre-verbal message again. Let's start with posture, the foundation of presence. Your body speaks first. Standing tall, shoulders relaxed, head held high that naturally exudes confidence. Command. Conversely, slouching or crossing your arms that can inadvertently send signals. Defensiveness, maybe insecurity, maybe just disinterest, even if that's not what you intend at all. The source mentions that fascinating concept again, embodied cognition. Your brain actually responds to your posture, reinforcing feelings of self-assurance.
So if you stand confidently,
You start to feel more confident. It's this powerful feedback loop. A simple mini exercise. Practice an open, confident stance in front of a mirror. Actively notice how even your thoughts, your internal state, start to shift. It's quite powerful.
that makes perfect sense. Your physical presence definitely influences your mental state. And what about what we do with our hands? I know I can be prone to fidgeting if I'm nervous.
Ah, yes, the hands. That's where gestures. Amplifying your words comes in. Hand gestures, when you use them purposefully, add rhythm, emphasis, clarity to your spoken words. They help listeners visualize your ideas, feel your passion. The key is to use open, purposeful gestures that actually complement your message, and to avoid that nervous fidgeting, which can convey anxiety or distraction. For example, when you're explaining a multi-step process, you can literally use your hands to map out those steps. Or using open palms naturally conveys honesty, transparency, builds trust. The source suggests an exercise. Record yourself explaining any topic for just a minute or two. Then watch it back, specifically analyzing your gestures. Are they helping? Or are they maybe distracting? Adjust them. Aim for natural expressive movement that supports your words.
And our face, of course. It's like a billboard for our emotions. Hard to hide what you're really feeling sometimes, isn't it?
It really is. Facial expressions. The emotional bridge are incredibly powerful. A genuine smile, maybe raised eyebrows showing curiosity, a thoughtful, engaged gaze. These add warmth, relatability to your message. People often trust these emotional cues more than the literal words because they feel the sincerity in your expression. Our brains are wired to detect micro-expressions almost instantly. The source recommends a practice tip. Try expressing different emotions, happiness, curiosity, concern, without using any words. Just your face, and record yourself. This helps you identify which expressions feel authentic for you and also look engaging. Authenticity in facial expressions is truly magnetic, builds rapport almost instantly.
Eye contact is another big one, feels universally important, but yeah, there's that fine line between connection and, well, creeping someone out. It can be tricky.
Absolutely. Eye contact, the gateway to connection. It's one of the most powerful nonverbal cues because it conveys attention, confidence, trustworthiness, but balance is definitely key. Too little eye contact suggests maybe you're evasive or just not interested. Too much can feel intimidating, aggressive, like staring.
Right.
The rule of thumb from the source is to aim for natural eye contact about 50–70% of the time during an interaction. Looking away occasionally is normal and actually helps avoid that intense stare. A helpful trick, especially if direct eye contact feels too intense for you personally, is to briefly focus on the bridge of the other person's nose, or maybe their forehead. It simulates connection effectively without the direct intensity. That subtle shift can make a big difference in how you're perceived.
It sounds like all these elements really need to work together, though. They can't just be isolated tricks.
Precisely. That's tone alignment, matching words with body. Your words carry the literal meaning, but your body adds the depth, the reinforcement, the emotional color. When your words say, I'm confident, but your posture is slumped, your gestures are closed off, your tone is hesitant, well, the message gets lost. Or worse, it feels contradictory.
Creates confusion.
It creates cognitive dissonance for your listener, yeah. Alignment between your verbal and nonverbal cues is what creates authenticity, and people instinctively recognize and trust authenticity. An exercise for this. Pick a sentence like, I believe this is the best approach. Practice saying it while consciously aligning your posture, your gestures, your facial expression, your tone. Notice how much more convincing it sounds when every part of you is saying the same thing.
And the power of silence again. But this time in a nonverbal context. It's not just about waiting your turn to speak.
Yes, silence. The underestimated nonverbal tool. Pauses create emphasis. They allow reflection for both you and your listener, and they signal confidence, thoughtful consideration. Instead of rushing to fill every single gap in the conversation, which often signals discomfort or insecurity, learn to embrace the power of a well-placed pause. It makes your words feel more significant, more deliberate, more thoughtful. It gives them weight.
And it seems like there are even smaller signals we send, almost subconsciously. Little things.
Indeed. These are the micro-expressions and subtle cues. Subtle nonverbal signals, like occasional nods, maybe a slight head tilt, raise eyebrows, they can show agreement, understanding, curiosity. They create connection on a subconscious level, signal engagement without needing words. Being aware of these cues in others helps you respond appropriately, and consciously using them yourself enhances engagement and rapport naturally. The source suggests watching a video, maybe a speaker, a news anchor, and taking notes on how their microexpressions and gestures subtly reinforce their message. Then, try incorporating similar cues into your own communication naturally. See how it subtly shifts the interaction.
Okay, all of this, the verbal, the nonverbal, it all leads to a critical component, building confidence in communication. So many people struggle, not because they lack skill necessarily, but because self-doubt and nervousness just undermine everything they try to do.
That's such a vital point. Confidence isn't just some internal feeling, it's a visible energy. Others perceive it before you even speak. And the good news is it can be learned, it can be strengthened, it can be projected outwards. It's really about cultivating presence, doing thorough preparation, and developing a resilient mindset that allows you to manage nerves, not necessarily eliminate them entirely. Let's delve into internal confidence. Changing your self-talk. Confidence truly begins inside your head. The way you think about yourself directly influences how others see you. That negative self-talk, thoughts like, I'm going to mess this up, or I'm just not good at this, it creates tension, hesitation, a lack of clarity in your speech. The exercise here is to consciously replace those limiting thoughts with empowering affirmations. Things like, I am clear and confident in expressing myself, or my words have impact and meaning. Practice these daily, especially before important conversations or meetings. Over time, your inner confidence will start to naturally translate into outward poise and conviction. It breaks that self-defeating cycle.
So it's about changing that internal narrative. And then I imagine preparing for what you're actually going to say, which can feel like a huge task for some people.
Absolutely. That's preparation, confidence through knowledge. Confidence gets a massive boost from thorough preparation. Knowing your material inside and out, really understanding your audience's needs and perspectives, maybe even anticipating potential questions that can dramatically reduce anxiety, the fear of the unknown. Even for just casual conversations, having a few key points in mind beforehand can boost your self-assurance. The source suggests a mini exercise. Before a meeting or even a social interaction you're maybe a bit nervous about, quickly jot down 2 or 3 key points you want to communicate. Then visualize the conversation going smoothly. Focus on your clarity, your composure. This preparation doesn't just improve your message, it calms your mind. Makes your delivery stronger, more confident, because you've already mentally rehearsed success.
And like any skill, confidence needs practice. It's not like you achieve it once and then you're just done.
Precisely. Practice. Repetition builds mastery. Confidence grows through consistent, deliberate practice. Start small. Speak in front of a mirror. Record yourself on your phone. Rehearse with trusted friends or family members. As you gain comfort, gradually increase the stakes. Present to a slightly larger group. Engage in networking events. Participate in public discussions. The source offers an exercise. Choose a topic you're passionate about. Speak about it for just 2 or 3 minutes daily. Record yourself each time. Over a week, you'll likely notice significant improvements in your tone, your pacing, your overall expressiveness. Repetition doesn't just strengthen your verbal skills, it reduces anxiety and builds profound self-trust through repeated small successes.
I've heard that top athletes use visualization constantly. Does that really apply to communication too? Can you actually see yourself succeeding?
It absolutely does. Visualization. Mental rehearsal is an incredibly powerful tool used by top speakers, athletes, leaders, negotiators. By vividly imagining success, your brain effectively prepares for the real-life performance. It's almost like a dress rehearsal in your mind. The source shares a great mini story about a young professional who dreaded public speaking, terrified. Each night before a big presentation, she meticulously visualized herself walking confidently onto the stage, speaking clearly, making eye contact, feeling calm, and getting positive feedback. When the actual day came, all that preparation and consistent visualization made her feel this profound sense of familiarity and control. It allowed her to be calm, poised, and incredibly engaging. The exercise of people. Spend 5 minutes daily visualizing yourself communicating confidently. Picture your posture, your tone, your gestures. See the audience reacting positively. Imagine the successful outcomes. Visualization primes your mind, reduces fear, and creates a sense of familiarity even in totally new situations.
So, okay, everyone gets nervous, even the pros, but it's about channeling the energy, right? Not letting it just paralyze you.
That's exactly the trick. Handling nervousness gracefully. Everyone gets nervous. Even the most seasoned communicators feel those butterflies. It's a completely natural physiological response. The key is learning how to convert that nervous energy into enthusiasm, into focused, controlled energy, rather than trying to suppress it, which usually backfires. Techniques include taking slow, deep breaths before you speak, consciously grounding yourself, like really feeling your feet on the floor, and even just smiling, it actually releases tension in your face and body. The source suggests a mini exercise. Before an important conversation, inhale slowly for 4 counts, hold for 4, and then exhale slowly for 6 counts. Repeat that 3 or 4 times. It really helps calm your nervous system and center your focus. Nervousness doesn't have to disappear entirely, but it can transform into controlled, impactful energy when you manage it intentionally.
Okay, what's fascinating here, and maybe the most counterintuitive insight our source offers, is what it calls the hidden superpower of communication. We've talked so much about speaking, projecting confidence, choosing words, but this is about something else entirely, something we often just overlook.
Exactly. That's listening. Most people focus so intently on speaking well, on trying to impress, on getting their message out. But the real magic, the profound connection that truly separates exceptional communicators from the rest, well, that happens when you listen actively and empathetically. Great communicators are, first and foremost, exceptional listeners. They understand that communication is absolutely a two-way street. And the incoming information, the understanding you gain, is just as valuable, maybe even more valuable than the outgoing message you send. It's the surprising paradox of influence. Often, the less you focus on speaking, the more powerful your words actually become, because true impact isn't built on just what you say, but on what you understand.
So, what does active listening really mean then? Beyond just, not talking while someone else is, how do we actually do it in a way that creates that profound connection you mentioned?
It's about deep understanding, not just passively hearing sounds. Active listening means being fully present, right here, right now, consciously resisting that urge to formulate your brilliant response while the other person is still mid-sentence. It's about absorbing not only the literal words, but also the underlying emotions, the intentions, the unspoken context floating around them. The source outlines several really powerful techniques for this. First, reflective listening. This is where you paraphrase or repeat what the other person said, but in your own words. For example, you might say, okay, so if I understand correctly, you're saying that you felt overwhelmed because of that really tight deadline, right?
Right.
That simple act shows you genuinely understood their message. And crucially, it validates their feelings, makes them feel truly heard, understood. Second, ask clarifying questions. Instead of making assumptions about what someone means, which is so easy to do, ask open-ended questions like, could you tell me a bit more about that? Or what led you to feel that way? What? These questions encourage them to elaborate, deepen your understanding, and make sure you're both actually on the same page. Prevents so many misunderstandings down the line. And third, avoid interrupting. This is critical, but hard sometimes. Let the speaker finish completely before you jump in. Silence is an empty space to be filled immediately. It's a powerful opportunity to fully absorb what was said and to think thoughtfully before you contribute. The source suggests consciously practicing just one active listening technique in your very next conversation and just observe how the other person responds. You'll likely notice a significant shift in their openness, their trust, their overall engagement.
This leads straight into empathy, doesn't it? Feeling what others feel. It's more than just understanding the words. It's really connecting with the person on a deeper emotional level. I once had this manager, brilliant strategist, super smart guy. But when you tried to talk to him about a problem, you could practically see his mind racing ahead to his next meeting or task. It was like talking to a brick wall that occasionally just grunted in agreement. That's what happens when empathy is missing, right?
That's a perfect and sadly common illustration. Empathy is the bridge. It transforms mere listening into profound connection. It's not just about intellectually grasping the words, it's about trying to experience or at least truly understand the emotions, the intentions, the underlying needs of the speaker. People instinctively resonate with those who get them, who can genuinely see things from their perspective, even if they don't agree. The source shares a powerful mini story about this. A manager initially dismissed an employee's concerns about a project workload, just brushed them off. Naturally, team morale plummeted. Later, by making a conscious effort to listen empathetically, to really hear the stress and acknowledge the employee's fears, they were able to work together to find a solution. The difference in the team dynamic. Profound. Respect and trust replaced frustration and resentment. Empathy doesn't mean you have to agree with someone, it just means understanding their emotional landscape and showing that you value their perspective. A great practice tip is to try to actively identify the speaker's emotions. Are they anxious, excited, frustrated? And then validate those feelings verbally. Maybe by saying something simple like, wow, I can see why that would be stressful, or that sounds really exciting for you.
In our incredibly distracted world, constant notifications, pinging, internal chatter going, mindfulness, just being present is a real challenge. But it sounds absolutely crucial for this kind of listening. How do we actually shut out all that noise?
It's a huge challenge, you're right. But effective listening demands your complete, undivided presence. It really does. This means actively avoiding those distractions. Put the phone away, or at least turn it over. Resist mentally drafting your grocery list or planning your next sentence while someone else is speaking. Mindfulness and conversation sends this powerful nonverbal signal of respect, undivided attention. It tells the other person, you are important right now. What you're saying matters to me. The source offers an exercise. In your next conversation, make a conscious effort to focus entirely on the other person. Notice not just their words, but their tone, their pace, their gestures, those subtle shifts in emotion. Afterwards, take a moment to reflect on what you learned beyond just the literal words they spoke. This mindful listening transforms interactions from purely transactional to potentially deeply meaningful.
Even our own nonverbal cues play a role in how we listen, not just how we speak. So listening isn't just a passive receiving act, is it?
Absolutely not. Nonverbal cues in listening are vital for communicating your attentiveness and engagement back to the speaker. These are often subtle yet powerful signals. Things like occasional nods of understanding, leaning slightly forward to show you're engaged, maintaining soft, confident eye contact, not staring, and even subtly mirroring the speaker's expressions. These build rapport naturally, almost subconsciously. These cues show you're not just hearing the words, you're actively processing, connecting, and understanding. Makes the speaker feel safer, more comfortable sharing more.
And back to the art of silence. We've talked about it for speaking, but it sounds like it's powerful in listening too. Maybe even more so.
It is arguably even more powerful in listening. Pausing after someone finishes speaking shows profound respect. It allows time for your own reflection on their words, and it often encourages them to share even deeper thoughts or feelings because they know they have your full, patient attention. They feel the space you're creating for them. Avoid that temptation to immediately rush in and fill conversational gaps. Sometimes your attentive silence says far more than words ever could about your respect and attentiveness. It creates a space for deeper disclosure.
Okay, this all seems to culminate in a really fundamental shift. Listening to learn, not just to respond. It changes the entire dynamic, doesn't it? Moves you from a kind of debate mindset to more of a discovery mindset.
It absolutely revolutionizes the interaction. So many people mistakenly listen only to formulate their reply. They're not really listening to understand, they're listening for an opening. This habit almost inevitably leads to misunderstandings, missed opportunities for deeper connection, and people feeling unheard or dismissed. The critical shift is to change your mindset entirely. Listen to learn. This means asking those clarifying questions we talked about, summarizing points to ensure you've got it right, and genuinely reflecting on the insights you've gained from their perspective rather than just waiting for your turn to talk. The source describes a great mini story about this. In a team meeting, one employee listened really carefully to everyone's different input without interrupting, just absorbed it all. Afterwards, she was able to synthesize all those diverse ideas into one comprehensive proposal that actually addressed everyone's main concerns because she had truly listened and learned from each perspective. Her solution was highly praised, not because she spoke the most, but because she had listened the best.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source calls this the ripple effect of listening. It's not just about one conversation. It impacts everything around you.
It truly does. Effective listening strengthens all your relationships, personal and professional. It builds deep foundational trust, and it profoundly enhances your influence, almost paradoxically. When people genuinely feel heard, they become more open, more collaborative, far more receptive to your ideas and perspectives down the line. Listening doesn't just improve the technical mechanics of communication, it transforms entire interactions, creates lasting positive impressions, fosters stronger bonds. It's a serious investment that pays dividends across all areas of your life, from your family relationships to high-stakes professional negotiations.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, tying it all together.
Yeah.
Now that we understand the foundations, the verbal and nonverbal mastery, that superpower of listening,
Mhm.
how do we actually use all these skills to genuinely persuade and influence through words? This feels like the ultimate application, doesn't it? Turning all this understanding into real-world impact.
It absolutely is, and it's a powerful but often misunderstood area. Persuasion, as our source makes really clear, isn't about manipulation. It's not about tricking people. It's the ethical and potent ability to communicate your ideas so clearly, so authentically, that people willingly align with them because they see the value and the logic for themselves. When this skill is combined with the confidence and the strong communication techniques we've explored, persuasion transforms ordinary interactions into moments of extraordinary influence. It's really about leading others towards a shared understanding and then maybe towards a shared course of action. Not forcing them, but guiding them.
Our source outlines several core principles of persuasion. These sound almost like universal laws for influence, grounded in how people actually think and behave.
They are indeed powerful tools. They give your words structure, logic, and profound impact because they're rooted in basic human psychology. First, clarity. We keep coming back to this, but it's paramount. You must simplify complex ideas. Confusion absolutely kills persuasion. People can't be swayed by something they don't fully grasp. Make it easy for them. Second, credibility. People are far more likely to follow those they trust. You need to demonstrate expertise, sure, but also integrity and consistency. In your words and your actions, your reputation, your track record, it matters here. Third, emotion. Facts certainly inform the brain, but it's emotions that truly inspire the heart and move people to action. Connect your ideas to feelings, tap into aspirations, hopes, maybe even address fears constructively. Logic provides the path, but emotion provides the fuel to walk it. Fourth, reciprocity. This principle suggests people naturally feel inclined to respond positively when you provide value first. Offer insight, help, advice before you ask for something in return. It creates a sense of goodwill, maybe even slight obligation, making them more open to your eventual request. And finally, social proof. This is huge. Highlight examples of others who already support your idea or who have benefited from it. Humans instinctively trust collective validation. If other people are doing it or benefiting from it, it feels safer, like a better path to follow. A quick mini exercise for you listening. Think about a recent conversation where you wanted to persuade someone. Reflect honestly, did you use any of these principles? Then, try rewriting your message, consciously incorporating at least two of them. You'll likely be surprised by the difference in its potential impact.
And we keep coming back to it because it's just so powerful, especially here in the context of influence. Storytelling for persuasion, it seems to bypass all that intellectual resistance and go straight for the heart, doesn't it?
Stories are, without question, the ultimate persuasion tool. Partly because they don't feel like persuasion. A well-told story evokes empathy. It paints a vivid, compelling picture right there in the listener's mind. And it makes your ideas incredibly memorable, almost makes them feel like their ideas. It's a shortcut to connection and understanding. The source gives that specific example again. Instead of just stating, exercise improves productivity, which is a dry fact, easily ignored.
Right. In one ear, out the other?
Exactly. Try this story instead. Last year, our team was really struggling with deadlines, energy slumps in the afternoon. It was tough. We introduced a simple, daily 10-minute morning stretch routine. Skepticism at first, sure, but within a month, morale significantly improved, energy levels were way up across the board, and deadlines were consistently being met. This simple habit completely transformed our work culture. See, this story humanizes the idea, makes the benefit tangible, aspirational, lets the listener envision that success for themselves. Much harder to argue with.
Also crucial is framing your message. The words are one thing, but how you present them, the lens you offer them through, that matters immensely.
Absolutely. How you frame information profoundly affects how it's perceived and its ultimate impact. Positive framing, for instance. It emphasizes benefits and possibilities rather than dwelling on drawbacks or potential negatives. Consider the difference. Frame one. If we don't meet this goal, we'll fail. That's a negative frame. Focuses on loss. Often triggers resistance or fear.
Yeah, defensive reactions.
Exactly. Now compare it to frame two. By achieving this goal, we unlock significant new opportunities and exciting growth. See, the second is far more persuasive. It inspires action, reduces immediate resistance by focusing on gains, on positive outcomes. The source suggests an exercise. Rewrite 3 negative statements you commonly use into positively framed alternatives. Then practice using them in conversation until they feel natural. You'll likely find it shifts your own mindset, too.
And it's not just about what you want to say, is it? You have to truly connect with your audience. Their perspective, their world is everything.
Precisely. Effective persuasion fundamentally requires understanding your audience's unique needs, their core values, their underlying motivations. What actually makes them tick? You have to tailor your message to align with their existing perspective rather than just presenting your own and hoping they'll see the light. The source gives that mini story about the sales professional. He observed his client was deeply motivated by family well being, not just, say, bottom line profits, so he wisely adjusted his pitch, showed how the product could directly benefit the client's family, address their deepest why. The client immediately connected with that message, saw the relevance, and readily agreed. It shows that understanding your audience's why is the key to unlocking their yes.
This all ties back, it seems, to confidence and authenticity and influence. It sounds like you can't really persuade effectively if you don't truly believe in your message yourself, or if you come across as anything less than genuine. It's almost an integrity check.
You are absolutely spot on. Confidence amplifies persuasion significantly. People are just naturally drawn to those who speak clearly, with conviction, and crucially, with authenticity. It's vital to avoid exaggeration, hype, or any form of manipulation. Those tactics might work once, maybe, but they quickly erode trust and destroy any chance of genuine, long-term influence. Authenticity means sharing your genuine belief in your ideas. And just as importantly, respecting the listener's perspective, even if it differs wildly from your own. Focus on conveying your sincere belief rather than trying to force agreement. That genuine belief, transparently expressed, is incredibly persuasive in itself.
Okay. Finally, we come to continuous improvement, the secret of master communicators. So what does this all mean for the long game? It sounds like communication isn't a destination you arrive at. It's an ongoing journey. There's really no finish line, is there?
Precisely. No finish line. The most effective communicators, they weren't born with some extraordinary mystical talent. They are almost always ordinary people who simply committed to an extraordinary amount of practice and self-reflection. They understand one simple truth. Communication is a skill, not a static gift you either have or don't. And like any skill, playing piano, learning a language, coding it grows through consistent effort, honest reflection, and being open to constructive feedback. If you want to become a master communicator, you have to wholeheartedly embrace this journey of continuous improvement. Every single conversation, every presentation, every email, every interaction is a fresh opportunity to learn, adapt, and refine your approach. Let's look quickly at the elements of this continuous growth. First, self-reflection, the foundation of growth. The essential starting point for ongoing improvement is that self-awareness we talked about earlier. After every significant interaction, whether it's a casual chat or a formal presentation, reflect critically what went well, and just as importantly, what could have been improved. The source suggests powerful reflection questions. Did I express my ideas clearly? Did my nonverbal cues actually align with my words? Did I actively listen and respond thoughtfully? What reactions did I notice from others that might offer clues for improvement? Keeping a simple communication journal, maybe just noting one success and one area for improvement after key interactions, can be incredibly insightful over time. Reveals patterns you might otherwise completely miss.
And you can't really grow in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
So seeking feedback from others is essential. Takes courage to ask, maybe, but it's invaluable.
Absolutely. Seeking feedback. Learning from others is essential for growth. Other people often notice things about our communication, our tone, our pacing, maybe a repetitive phrase, our body language, things that we ourselves are completely blind to. It's crucial to approach feedback with an open mind, see it as a valuable gift, a tool for growth, rather than a personal criticism to get defensive about. After meetings or important conversations, maybe ask someone you trust, hey, how did I come across in there? Anything you think I could improve? Listen actively to their response without defending yourself. Absorb it. Use those insights to adjust and refine your approach. It's a massive accelerator for learning.
And to be truly clear, persuasive, you also need, well, stuff to talk about. A rich vocabulary, a broad understanding of the world. You can't articulate what you don't know or can't express.
Indeed. Expanding knowledge and vocabulary is a definite hallmark of master communicators. They are constantly expanding their knowledge base and their lexicon. The more concepts you understand, the more words you have at your disposal, the more precise and compelling your communication naturally becomes. A practical tip: read widely. Books, articles, essays across diverse subjects. Make an effort to learn new words daily and then actively try to practice using them in your conversations. Don't just learn them, use them. Engage in discussions on varied topics to improve your adaptability across different subjects and audiences. It broadens your mental toolkit significantly.
And you can't just be good in one specific scenario, right? Adaptability seems key. Real life rarely fits neatly into one communication box.
That's where practicing diverse scenarios comes in. The best communicators aren't just good when giving a presentation or only good in one-on-one chats. They adapt effortlessly to almost any situation. So, role play different scenarios in your head or even out loud. Persuading a skeptical colleague, giving difficult but constructive feedback, resolving a conflict smoothly, networking at an event, even just engaging in comfortable small talk. This practice helps you develop incredible flexibility and confidence, even when you're in unfamiliar territory. Maybe dedicate 10 minutes a day to mentally walk through or role play a challenging scenario, experimenting with different tones, gestures, word choices. It builds confidence and adaptability across a whole spectrum of interactions.
It's so natural to fear making mistakes, especially when communicating, but they're often our best teachers, however uncomfortable they might feel in the moment.
Absolutely. Embracing mistakes as opportunities is crucial for long-term growth. Mistakes are not only inevitable, they are often the most valuable teachers we have. Each misstep, saying the wrong thing, misreading the room, stumbling over words provides priceless insights into clarity, delivery, emotional impact. Instead of fearing them or beating yourself up over them, try to embrace them as stepping stones to mastery. Treat them like data points for improvement. What can I learn here? The source tells that great mini story of a speaker who totally stumbled during an important presentation, lost his place. Instead of panicking or freezing, he acknowledged it with a bit of humor, corrected himself smoothly, and just continued successfully. The audience actually admired his composure, his authenticity. It proved that mistakes don't define you. How you respond to them does.
And for all of this, the reflection, the feedback, the practice consistency seems to be the absolute bedrock. You can't just do it intensely for a week and expect miracles, right?
Yeah. It truly is consistency and daily practice. Continuous improvement requires regular, consistent, often small efforts. Even dedicating just 10 or 15 minutes of focused daily practice, whether it's consciously working on your speaking clarity, your active listening, your storytelling, or your nonverbal presence, it compounds exponentially over time. Speak intentionally every day. Observe body language in others and yourself. Reflect on one thing to improve and maybe one thing to celebrate from your interactions. Remember, mastery is absolutely a marathon, not a sprint. Small, consistent actions lead to the big transformations over time.
Finally, to keep that journey going, maybe indefinitely, it sounds like you need an almost insatiable curiosity, a genuine desire to just keep learning about communication and about people.
Exactly. Lifelong curiosity and adaptability. Master communicators remain curious. They're always open to learning new things. They're adaptable to new situations, different cultures, diverse audiences. They inherently understand that every single interaction, no matter how small, is an opportunity to learn something new and to refine their skills just a little bit further.
Right.
So cultivate that curiosity. Be interested in how others communicate. Engage with new people, observe their styles, ask questions, genuinely listen to the answers. Maybe identify one technique someone else uses well that you could incorporate into your own style. That openness, that lifelong curiosity is your ultimate advantage.
Wow. We've covered a tremendous amount of this deep dive, from those foundational pillars, self-awareness, active listening, all the way through verbal mastery, nonverbal influence, building that unshakable confidence, the art of ethical persuasion, and finally, that ongoing journey of continuous improvement. It really feels like a comprehensive toolkit for anyone looking to truly transform how they connect with others, and ultimately how they impact the world around them.
But remember, knowledge alone isn't quite enough to unlock these communication superpowers, is it? Action is what truly transforms potential into skill, theory into real world practice. So commit. Commit to becoming a master communicator starting today. Don't try to tackle everything we discussed all at once. That's just overwhelming and sets you up for failure. Instead, pick just one technique that resonated with you. Maybe it's consciously improving your posture throughout the day, or practicing telling small stories in your daily conversations, or perhaps really honing your active listening skills by summarizing what others say before you respond. Choose one and practice it consciously, consistently, and without harsh judgment. Just practice. And this raises maybe one final important question for you, our listener, to carry forward from this deep dive. How will you apply these profound insights to truly transform your interactions, your relationships, and your impact on the world starting today? Your words, your presence, your listening skills, they're incredibly powerful tools. Tools that can genuinely change lives, including your own. Practice relentlessly, act intentionally, and watch as your communication gradually transforms your world one conversation at a time.